Greetings.
Oh yes.
Thank you for having us. We are here to inquire about your movement.
Okay.
The first question is the first question that everybody wants to know. What is the name of your movement?
The movement is called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, but it's more famously known as the Hare Krishna movement. Krishna consciousness is the definition of what the movement is about. Yes.
Hindu, is it connected to Krishna consciousness?
Yes. Well, if you find the box for Krishna consciousness, then you'll find it within the box of religions called Hinduism. But it is monotheism within Hinduism. So Hinduism is more famous for a religion of many gods.
Can you elaborate on monotheism?
Monotheism means that a belief that there is one God who is the source of everything. And then another part of it is called polytheism, where there's an understanding that there are many gods. But according to Bhagavad Gita, which is the standard text for Vedic Hindu knowledge, it's understood that there is one person God, and then there are many demigods. So an outsider may look into it and think that it's many competitor gods, but in fact it's like a president and his cabinet ministers. So God being Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and then many demigods, up to 33 million.
It sounds more like Rastafarism, where everyone has one leader, and the religion itself is monotheistic in that way. Okay, I would like to ask you about the ultimate goal in this Krishna consciousness.
That's a wonderful question. Because if you have an ultimate goal, then you can plan everything and work towards that final attainment. Krishna consciousness is teaching that within the core of everyone's heart is dormant love for God. And so the whole process is to awaken that love of God to its full capacity. So in essence, the goal of Krishna consciousness is to awaken pure love of God within the heart.
And this does not include any other members of his cabinet who are demigods.
Oh yes, the explanation is that if we take that God or Krishna is the root of everything, so just like with a tree, if you want to please the whole tree, you have to water the roots, and then naturally the branches, the leaves, the flowers, they get nourishment. So in the same way, if we target directly the root of all creation, God, Krishna, then everyone, whether it's cabinet ministers, his family members, our family members, the nation, everyone is pleased by pleasing directly to God.
Well, in Rastafarism, the love of nature is one thing that is very important and that we cherish and take care of and respect for all our lives. And what we call as Babylon, which is the living that is being forced towards people, politics, everything that comes with that, and all the material life. It is something that needs to actually, we need to run away from for us to get a hold of our consciousness. So I want to hear your take in terms of material life out there versus the spiritual life. How do you separate the two?
A very good question. Krishna consciousness, or the Vedic philosophy, is teaching that in the eyes of God, Krishna, everything basically is his energy. So we get the spiritual energy and material energy when we are conditioned. We are seeing God's energy in different ways. So the art is that if we recognize that all energies belong to Krishna and that they are meant to be used according to his desire and plan. So then one can be living in the realm of this material world, but using the material world, its assets, one's own mind, to direct back to the owner of the energy. So sometimes there's a thought that spiritual life means getting away, retiring from making money, having a family, trying to have some sort of growth in this world. No. It's just a change of consciousness in that all these things do not belong to me, they belong to Krishna. He is the ultimate enjoyer of them, he is the owner of them, and I am like a caretaker of that energy, and I'm meant to use it in relationship to his desires.
Okay, now you spoke about the material energy being God's energy.
Yes.
So does this mean this energy is okay? Is it right to use?
Yes.
Is it right to indulge in?
No. One has to be trained how to deal with God's energy.
Okay.
Just like a knife in the hands of a doctor can save a man's life, but a knife in a criminal's hand can take a man's life. So we need to know how to handle the material energy of God so that we don't become stuck with it, bound with it, because it has a law that governs it, that every action has a reaction. So the more we do something in material consciousness for our own personal enjoyment, then we create reactions, which means we have to be accountable to receive the good or bad or mixed results of that action. But the art of work, Krishna consciousness or Krishna yoga, means instead of doing it just for my own personal enjoyment, I do it for the enjoyment of the owner. And then there is no reaction, so it doesn't bind one.
Have you heard of the concept of Babylon?
Yes, but maybe you could elaborate.
Well, Babylon is a place where there is a lot of human suffering, according to Rastafarian culture. And it's a place where everyone must fight to get away from, to run to a safer place, which is the jungle, according to us, because in the jungle there is there is nothing that is man-made. Everything is natural. And our goal is to go back to nature, and going back to nature is the ultimate goal. So I want to know how Babylon, the whole concept of Babylon, does it have a meaning in Krishna consciousness? And how does it fit into the whole Krishna consciousness body?
Well, if we take that Babylon means a place where there is unnatural living. The
yes,
conditions are
yes,
bringing strife and unhappiness.
yes,
And that we have to be free from that condition. In Krishna consciousness, we understand that the whole material universes are an unnatural place for the spirit soul, because life, or every living thing, is a spiritual particle of God. And so its natural home is the spiritual world. So in this material world, that is a situation like Babylon. And a further consideration is that how we process what we are viewing can either allow us peace or anxiety. So if we look at the creation and we don't see God as the master and owner an enjoyer of it, then we become like criminals trying to enjoy something which doesn't belong to us. And like any criminal, he's never peaceful because he knows in the back of his mind that someday the action will catch up with him. So when we see the source of the energy, then we can also be able to bring a situation of peace and tranquility within the material world. At least within our own consciousness, we can be free of the Babylon.
I just want to check if I am understanding you perfectly. You just said material existence depends on whether there is God or not.
Yes, if one is aware of God as the source of all the energy, and one is dealing with the energy according to God's direction, then one is not put into the difficulties of being bound by dealing with material energy.
So, can I say that the ultimate goal of a Hare Krishna devotee would be to chant down Babylon?
Yes, you could say like that. In fact, I often, personally, as I interact with people, especially Rasta brothers, to encourage them that our process of, say, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is a form of chanting down Babylon, especially highlighting the Babylon that is within our own consciousness. And that Babylon is this thought that I am a material phenomena, I'm a product of the material energy, and not really understanding that an aspect of me being the body, which is earth, water, fire, air, ether. This is material energy, but the life force, the consciousness, the spirit, is a spiritual energy. So that is the beginning of Babylonian consciousness, if I may say. To mistake yourself as a product of material energy and forgetting your divinity is a spiritual part of us with God.
I would like to know your thoughts about Haile Selassie I. Do you know the figure Haile Selassie I?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Religiously, would you say he is someone that you would take seriously?
He's taken seriously by very many individuals, especially he's taken seriously because of him being a spiritual leader and a visionary. And so we respect and honor all persons who are giving knowledge about spiritual life and who are leaders of consciousness.
Who has brought the word of Hare Krishna?
Our culture and philosophy has been graciously brought out of Asia, India by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He's more commonly known as Srila Prabhupada. He transplanted practically this whole culture into the Western world and established this movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and based it on these timeless Vedic scriptures which are originally written out in the Sanskrit language. So what he did is that he translated them from the Sanskrit language into the English language, and he published many books also breaking down the many topics within it, and founded a society to disseminate the knowledge throughout the planet.
So when he got it, who did he get it from? Is there a person that he got it from, or?
Yes. So there is what is known as a disciplic succession. This is a line of teachers going all the way back to when the knowledge is originally revealed by Krishna himself, God. So Srila Prabhupada, he had his own spiritual master. His name was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And so when he had met him in 1922, he had asked him that you are an educated young man, you should take this message to the English-speaking countries. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta himself had his own spiritual master who had also asked him to propagate very profusely this Vedic wisdom. So disciplic succession then means that if you want to get, for example, a ripe mango somewhere high up on a tree, then the best way is that someone climbs the tree and picks it and gives it to another man on the tree, to another one, so that the man on the ground receives the mango as it is, instead of letting it fall on the ground. It may be spoiled. So knowledge must be brought from guru or teacher to student. Student becomes himself a teacher and takes students in that way. This knowledge has been preserved over the thousands of years.
How far back does it go?
The knowledge goes as far back as time immemorial. Basically, the wisdom is an eternal wisdom. But then it is brought into these temporary worlds at different times and at different places. And the last time that Bhagavad Gita, for example, was spoken by Krishna was over 5,000 years ago. He spoke this at a place called Kurukshetra, which is in today's India, and he spoke to Arjuna. But within the same Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna that he had spoken the same knowledge to the sun god, Vivasvant, which was over 120 million years ago. So what this opens up is the understanding that these material worlds are created, they stay for some time, and they are destroyed, and again created. And every time Krishna is revealing knowledge of what this world is and how to become free from the bondage of being in this world, and how to re-establish the relationship of love between all the souls and him, the Supreme Soul.
One last question. I'd like to know, what is the goal of a Hare Krishna devotee in this lifetime?
Well, it's multifaceted. There's personal goal for an individual is that one wants to master his senses and engage them fully in Krishna's service. That involves cleaning out the enemies of the heart: anger, greed, lust, envy, illusion, and becoming a selfless servant of not only Krishna God but also the children of God. So on one side is that an individual wants to work on himself, and the other side, he wants to make this knowledge available for the larger family of God's children. And so Krishna consciousness devotees, they want to propagate the message, and they also want to apply the message in their life to transform their own consciousness. And one of the major gifts that a Hare Krishna devotee has is to offer this mantra, this Hare Krishna mantra, this chant for delivering the mind, this chant for removing Babylon. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Ah, that's all. Can you please elaborate on that and tell me more about it?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's called the Maha Mantra. Maha means great in Sanskrit. Mantra is a combination of two words. Mana meaning the mind, and tra from the word trayate, which means to free or to release. So the Hare Krishna mantra is a song or a sound vibration which is meant to free the mind from its identification with this material world and this material body as a place of permanence, as a place of supposed happiness. Free it from that conception, bodily conception of life, and then attach the mind to the reality of spiritual existence. So it works on many levels. One level is that just by hearing this sound vibration, because of its spiritual quality, it helps to, you could say, extinguish the fire in the hearts. We are burning in the heart. We have so many desires. We have so many issues of dissatisfaction with regards to this world. And we have so many hopes that remain unfulfilled within this world. So when we chant, all of a sudden, we are getting a fulfillment which surpasses what the senses are bringing in and what our mind is hankering for. It's the satisfaction of the soul. And then a higher attainment from the mantra is that because the song itself is an address directly to God and the spiritual energy. So what it is that the name of God and God himself are non-different. So when we are saying Hare, we are directly associating with the spiritual energy of God. When we're saying Krishna, we are directly associating with the person from whom everything comes from. So that association with the spiritual energy of God, with God himself, reveals God to us.
So it's more like meditation.
Exactly.
So I want to hear your take on meditation and marijuana.
Meditation is essential if one wants to become focused on a particular subject.
Could you use marijuana for meditation? Would you recommend?
No. We would not recommend use of marijuana for meditation, because this particular meditation is trying to bring one to the original position. Like we mentioned earlier, that originally everyone is God conscious, that the soul is an originally God conscious entity. So we want to keep it on a pure level, meaning without some artificial imposition, without some drug-induced state of consciousness. Yes, so we are using the power of the name of God.
But what you just said now is it reminds a person, or it puts somebody to a stage, to an original state or a godly state.
The use of marijuana?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
What I was saying was that we don't want to have an artificially induced state of consciousness. We want to.
So does it bring you to a? Would you say marijuana brings meditation, brings a person to a godly state?
There is,
and that it can be used.
There is a particular group out of the Vedic context called Shivites, which uses marijuana as part of their day-to-day rituals, which include part of what they do for meditation. But like anything, one requires a teacher, one requires a particular process so that one can attain a particular goal. But what is happening is that without any guidance from any bona fide teacher or guru, people are taking marijuana and hoping that by smoking marijuana they will naturally be in proper meditative consciousness, which is a spiritual affair. But generally it is just another way to enjoy using your mind by altering your regular state of consciousness.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama